Hello friends, how are you today? Well, I'm up late making this video because I just finished my other video on there being no data and analyzing the energies from the astrology chart at the time the data stopped. And I literally, when I was making that video, I was checking the data, making sure it hadn't come back yet, and then boom, get it done, data comes back. So I guess maybe it was meant to be that I put that out, because it's amazing. The time that the data stopped had the most unusual and amazing energies in the astrology chart for that time period for Tomsk, where the chart is from, where the data is from. So take a look at that if you want to get a deeper dive into some of the deep and true meanings that it was like an energy marker having the data stop at that time. It's really interesting. It's like it marked an important moment, especially given like the different geometries that were on the chart, and there's a fixed star involved and some other things. Oh wait, no, there were two stars. Okay, so now what I want to do is analyze just quickly with you the data now that it came back. So there were some unusual patterns, and the unusual patterns are right here, okay, and also right here. And what I did was I put this information, I took out the color in the chart because sometimes it's easier to see it like that. And I just want to show you which chart we're looking at right now. We're looking at this chart, and currently it's 1300 hours on the chart. So this just has not occurred yet. And all of this data just got put back, which is kind of cool. So I'm going to take a look at this. I'm not doing an astrology reading on this here because I just did such a big one. And I looked at the moon, and I also looked at the moon movements and the sun and Mercury, the inner planets. And although this energy here, right here where these dashed lines are, it does look a little like when there are what I call moon lines on the chart, and also down here. It doesn't appear that there was any major moon conjunctions at these times. So I thought that was interesting. I just thought I would check that. So good to know that doesn't seem to be an issue here. Let me show you the sepia charts. Okay, so I thought the differentiation in the energies would show really well here. Right here, what you have is something that we've seen before. And in fact, it appears to continue here just very lightly. Then there's something new that happens, which is this right here. There's three lines, but one wonders if there's actually four of them, because there's this, no data. This black line here just means there's just no data available to us reading the chart. And the reason I wonder if there's fours, because there's a bunch of fours on the, series of fours the day before this, although I took that out of the last video to make it shorter. I took that out of the astrology video. So it looks like this here is an aspect of the technological effect, that periodic vertical pattern that we've been seeing in the chart. I have a playlist on this, and indeed, this way of showing how the technological effect shows on the chart, I did a deep dive. It's, I think, the first video on the playlist. And I explained in sort of very technical detail how I thought that this energy worked. So I spent a lot of time delving into how it appeared to work, and all of that is on that video. So now what happened is it looks like this other effect was layered on top of the technological effect operating in a part of the chart, because it seems to really be more prominent in these mid to high beta ranges, and possibly it looks like it stops around the gamma range here, because this is about where it stops, and gamma goes down further. But yeah, so this here, there's a shift in the pattern right here, and it's a visual shift where there's almost like an echo in the lines here, and that's unusual. And then the pattern of the lines that you see here is also interesting. Let me go back to the color chart here. So here's it's almost like a little shift here, and that does not happen in the one to the right of the black line. And then you get these little dashed dots, okay, and then these little patterns here in these two lines. And that's unusual. Now, what it reminds me of is it looks like a transmission. It doesn't, I question whether it's natural. It looks like a transmission, and it reminds me of when we got the karyotype image on the chart back in January of 2020. There was this amazing karyotype image. Now, it did not have the black and such that we have here, but it was an unusual but very clear pattern. So I'm going to talk to my friend Alex. It's midnight, so not doing it now, but I'm going to talk to her, and then if I get anything else interesting when she and I look at that, I will come back to it, because she has a biology background and some science training that I don't have, and so when we put our heads together, sometimes we come up with cool stuff. But down here, so here's this technological effect pattern. It's a variation of it, and you can see down here that it appears to be continuing, and it's almost like it comes together with this strange pattern. So it's unusual. It's interesting. It's very interesting. There are these lines here, and this interesting energy clearing almost. Looks almost like a clearing. And you have this clearing at the top of the chart where it's very blue, and there's not much energy that occurred at the same time as this technological effect version. Now it's missing the very clear vertical lines. So in general, when I see this pattern, what it feels like to me is a manipulation of the frequencies, that we're looking at a visual representation of those, and it looks like a manipulation of those frequencies. Let's take a look for a sec at the black charts. So here's the amplitudes. So this is the strength of the energy. And there was a very interesting thing that happened here, and that is here in yellow. You can see it spiked at 48. And on the chart, hold on a sec, because I gotta, all right, so here's 48, and here is, no, actually, that did not happen for a moment there. I thought something else happened. Nope. Okay, so basically, the amplitudes are kind of how you would normally expect them, with white higher, yellow, red, and then green in this spike here. And it's interesting because the amplitudes are fairly low for this section of the chart where those interesting patterns happened. So not much power. And this is also interesting. You don't usually see the white do this. This pattern in the frequencies is the most unusual pattern of all of this. The least affected seem to be the green here. And there's a narrowing of the frequencies in all of the ranges, white, yellow, and red. And I don't know if this is related to the strange patterns or if there's something else coming, because sometimes in the past, I have observed that there can be a narrowing prior to like a large wave of energy. So I'm not predicting that because I haven't been able to determine how to do that in a way where I get it right every time. I'm just saying that it's interesting that there's a narrowing vertically and horizontally in these. I consider these waves, these little waves here in the frequency charts, and there is a narrowing. There's less of a narrowing here. I mean, it's less jagged up and down than it might otherwise be, but it's really not the green that's as affected here, which is very interesting. I have to think on that, what that might mean. The qualities were really low, and as it's interesting because it really started way back here, because this right here is where the data had stopped, and then right around somewhere in here, and then right around somewhere in here is where we had those unusual patterns. Now you did see a rise in the qualities prior to the data stopping with the strange sort of the two vertical lines of transmission. But the other thing is you see the topping out here. That's interesting because that is something we've seen with the technological effect before. So I wonder. So here's what I was wondering, okay? What I was wondering is if this is the testing of a technology or the insertion of a transmission here. And when I say the testing of the technology, it could even be related to the vertical effect of the technological effect, which we don't see here, but we do see these very stark vertical lines, 1, 2, and 3. And these two here are spaced much the way that the technological effect, when it's vertical, presenting like this, much like how it looks. Now, there's one last thing that I want to say here, and this is simply my opinion based upon some deep thought over this over the years, and I won't go into it much more than that. I do not think that this is caused by something that is accelerating particles. Now, you can find this information at the United States of America Department of Energy. There's some interesting information there about particle accelerators. I don't know if you guys know this. I found it fascinating. But there's 30,000 particle accelerators. That was as of 2014 in the world. There are a lot of particle accelerators all over the place. And the really big ones, there's quite a number of specifically of those. It's interesting because the particle accelerators do more than just mash beams of particles together. They actually can be focused at targets. And when that happens, they're directed at a fixed target. And this is from the Department of Energy website, such as a thin piece of metal foil. And so these beams are used to make assessments of physical objects, and there is electromagnetism involved in this, of course. So why don't I think that this is related to that activity? I think that if my perceptions of this and my sense of how this energy works here, or this potential technological effect, that's a theory, because we really don't know what's causing these strange patterns and the vertical lines when they occur. For all we know, someone could have bumped the machine and caused these squiggly patterns. I'm joking there, of course. I think that's why they paused the data to check it, most likely, although I don't really know. But that's my guess, is that's why they paused the data, just to confirm that they perceive that it's been recorded accurately. But the timing of these have been interesting. And if you followed me for a while, there have been interesting events going on globally, periodically, at the timing of this effect, which has made me wonder, caused me to wonder if there's not some kind of monitoring that could be involved with it, possibly. I just feel that if it's true that this represents some kind of advanced technology effect, that it would be highly, highly advanced and beyond our knowledge of what our current capabilities are. And the reason why is because this isn't about aiming at a target that is fixed, okay, to do something like this. If this is manipulating frequencies and indeed what I call a signature key, which is when you have the resonance, everything that is a part of making that up besides time, right? And place, meaning the hertz level. But you have the frequency band, you have the quality, you have the amplitude, and then undoubtedly a set of other potential characteristics which we might not be aware of, because I'm acknowledging that there is elite science, right? Which we may not be aware of, right? Most of that is probably private or in military. So to me, that to be able to manipulate pure frequency, not energy that has formed into an object, which has a vibration, but pure frequency that floats indiscriminately as pure energy. To be able to manipulate something like that would be complex. It would be much more advanced. And it could be a very advanced application of some of the technologies that we may be familiar with. If there's a technology and it's a more advanced technology, is it good or is it bad? I think that technology just is, and that it's important to remember that the most potent creative force on this planet is the human being, and our co-creative abilities with the Creator of all things through the divinity inherent in the human form, through us as incarnated souls. This is, most of all, the most creative force on the planet, and it is through this force that miracles can happen, that creations of imagination can be turned into reality. And it is through this force that life is enhanced and supported.